people are not very intelligent because they feel too big to learn. Intelligent people are people who read, people who learn. Because if you learn, you become a better human capital, you become useful to yourself, and you become useful to society. Next slide, please. So, this is my experience. But before I talk about my experience of continuous learning, lifelong learning, let me give a little bit of splice with a lady that I met on a flight from New York through Las Vegas to Sacramento. Lady trained as a corporate lawyer from Harvard Law School. And she got a job in Las Vegas, and she was paid $10,000 a month. And $10,000 a month for a 28-year-old corporate lawyer was very good money. And when she started the job, after 4 years of this very difficult job, Americans are very litigious. So the company is always, having problems with workers, and this lady had to prepare cases for court, up and down and so forth, tearing her hair apart. Every evening she has to bring cases to the house to learn and so forth and so on. Very difficult job on $10,000 a month. Then she learned that those ladies who dance in the casinos in the evenings, all right, to entertain millionaires who come to do the cha-cha and so on, are paid $10,000 a week. The lawyers pay $10,000 a month. Those who dance are paying $10,000 a week. And she says, dancing comes to me naturally. So I had polished my dancing. I got a job as a dancer, and I started earning 4 times my salary. You see, you would say, I'm okay, I'm a corporate lawyer, I trained in Harvard Law School, I want to be. But she realized that she could actually have a better life, have a better salary by learning something else. And he said, dancing is not a big deal. In fact, I love dancing. It comes to me naturally. So PK, we were sitting in the plane and chatting. He said, I actually put away my corporate law, learned how to dance, and I'm earning 4 times. You can always learn something new. And the way the world is going, if you are going to continue to stay relevant and earn a good living and have a great life, learning should be part of your cake. Look at my own example. Trained as an electrical engineer, but I don't even know where my certificate is because it doesn't matter anymore. Electrical engineer, UST, Kumasi. And then, after 10 years of being an engineer, I decided to do postgraduate studies. But in what? Engineering or what? And I said, I'm going to look at the workspace. I'm going to look at where the big bucks come from. I'm going to look at those areas where I can earn better and have a better quality of life. And I realized that getting into management and actually teaching, which was my passion, will be it. So I went into business school. I did a PhD in business administration rather than my engineering. See, learn something new, all right, reskilling, and then I got into lectureship in the University of Manchester. And I lectured all the MBA programs for 17 years non-stop. Then at one point, I reassessed myself. Is there anything else that I can learn that will give me a better life than what I'm doing? As a lecturer at the University of Manchester, I'm doing well. But, can I be better? And one thing that you have to take note of, ladies and gentlemen, one of the most important things in your life, perhaps even the most important in your life, is to be ready at all times to give up what you are for what you might become. Did you get it? One of the most important, or perhaps the most important, is to be ready at all times to give up what you are for what you might become. Because if you are very happy with what you are, you will remain there. But I said to myself, I'm doing fine here, but is there anything else that I can do? And then I realized that in places like China and the Far East and so forth and so on, where the economies are growing and money is not a problem, one of the things that they lack is leadership. For example, in China, they are very good managers. They produce half the stuff of the world. So when it comes to management, they're good. But leadership, they're not so good. And it's in short supply. So I said, why can't I study leadership, reskill, leave my business economics and strategy, reskill leadership, and actually go and sell myself. And today, this leadership, which I self-taught, brings me 90% of my income just by moving. It brings me 90%. And in fact, I just published a book on leadership out of the experience. And this is something that I self-learned. So, lecture in business economics and strategy, fine. But can I learn something else? Can I rescale? And it all comes from what? Lifelong learning. I never cease to learn. Every time I've sat in anybody's lecture, I make notes. I learn something new. And when I go and teach in Dubai, and at the last count, I've taught in 26 countries on 4 continents. It's only Australia I haven't been. I spent 15, to 30 days every quarter teaching around the world, from Jamaica to Barbados to Singapore to Delhi to Shanghai to Dubai and so forth and so on. And it's all as a result of my determination to learn something new. So I teach in Dubai, and then of course, the MBA program has gone very well. So everybody comes to say, thank you very much, Professor, for teaching us. And a lady comes to me and says, but where did you learn all this? Where did you learn all this? And I said, I had the patience to determine what is it, what sort of knowledge is relevant to today's world. What is it that if I actually learn well, I can actually sell myself and have a great life? And I do that all the time. I do that all the time. As soon as the kind of skill I have is becoming obsolete, for example, business economics and strategy, there are too many of them around. So we don't earn much. You know, in Manchester Business School, they send you off to do a one-day contract, business economics or strategy or whatever. They pay you £1,000. But if you go away to actually deliver leadership, they pay you £3,000. So why not? What prevents me, what stops me from learning something new that will give me a better quality of life? So my advice is, learning never stops. It's a lifelong thing. And if you are interested in making yourself better, if you are interested in learning new things, especially those things that are needed by industry, which will pay money, which will give you a better quality of life, then why not? So this is, I've been trained for, I've got a PhD in business economics, so that's the only place I'm staying. Shouldn't be something that you should actually put on your belt. The question is, how can I improve myself? How can I earn something better? What is it that I need to learn? As I said, even if you are software, a typist, and you actually use Word, you can actually learn to improve yourself, so that whilst people are typing 100 words per minute, you can do 200. And by so doing, you get a job, you get a better money, and you laugh all the way to the bank. So learning is lifelong. As I said, from cradle to the grave. And all of you should have this at the back of your mind. Don't be satisfied with what you have or what you do. As I said, the most important thing in your life is to be ready at all times to give up what you are for what you might become. Take a case of the lady I met on the flight, Las Vegas. Corporate lawyer, $10,000 a month. Just by learning how to dance and dancing in the casinos, she quadrupled her salary. And she says, PK, I'm having a great time of my life. And dancing is not as demanding as corporate law. And yet I earn well, I have a great life, and I can even help other people. It all comes out of what? Learning. Never give up. It doesn't matter you are 60, you are 70, at any point in time, you can always learn something new, improve your human capital, and if you are clever enough to determine those skills that will bring you better income and a better quality of life, then by all means, go for it. It's not impossible to learn things. You can actually learn. It's a mindset. Leadership, for example, I learned it myself. Because somebody said, PK, if you want to double your salary, treble your salary, leave your business economics, study leadership, and go off to China and I teach in China 2 days for $5,000 leadership. You know, so this is to encourage you to understand that upskilling, which is actually learning, you know, to improve whatever you already do or have, or reskilling, which is like I did, moving to some other, you know, skill and developing it. All depends on learning and your decision and ability and your keenness and desire to actually sit down and upskill or reskill. It is not such a difficult thing. It's depend on the heart, depend on the mind, and all of us can do it. Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you.
Professor Pikay Richardson is a seasoned world-class manager. Rosie Ebe-Arthur, a widely sought-after human resource consultant, is a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Practice across Africa and the United Kingdom. Rosie has held senior management positions at Standard Chartered Bank across 5 markets in West Africa, EcoBank Transnational Incorporation with responsibility for 33 countries, and Ernst & Young Africa in South Africa, in addition to various entities of the Publicis Group in the United Kingdom. She was the Group Head Human Capital Management and Development at the First Bank of Nigeria and subsidiaries, where she was accountable for setting the people's strategy across the bank's footprints in Africa, the United Kingdom, and representative offices in France and China. She is also a member of the MTN Ghana Board of Directors. Rosie is an alumnus of Wesley Girls Senior High School, the University of Cape Coast, and the University of Westminster. She is also an alumnus of the management programs at INSEAD, the Said Business School, University of Oxford. With a resounding round of applause, welcome Rosie Ebe-Arthur.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm looking for, there you go. You see on the screen the picture that looks a bit strange. And you see the writing, built to adapt rather than built to last. And you're probably wondering, what does this mean? This is the bridge of Chalukota. How many of you have come across this on WhatsApp? Okay, I'll tell you the story first. So many years ago, in a place called Honduras, in South America, I believe, where it was known to rain consistently and for many days, the people there decided that they would build a really strong bridge over the river Chalukota to make sure that their people could continue working, travel safe over the bridge and all that. This was in 1996. The bridge was built by the Japanese and finished in 1998. In 1998, October, it rained heavily. This bridge is about 484 meters long. It rained for 4 days continuously, and they had 75 inches of rain. Normally, they would get 75 inches of rain over 6 months. And they were very satisfied that their bridge could withstand this. And indeed, this beautiful bridge, a whole mechanical miracle to them, did withstand the rain. But the roads leading to the bridge did not, and they were all washed away. On top of that, the rains were so heavy that the river changed course. So now the river was running alongside the bridge. The bridge was fine. So they had a beautiful bridge, a very strong bridge, a bridge to nowhere, a bridge over nothing. That bridge was built to last, if only they had thought about adaptability. This can happen to you in your life. It can happen to you in your career. It can happen to you in your business. If some of you remember Kodak died because when one of the workers went to them and proposed a digital camera, they said, no, we're not going to do that. Because they made a lot of their money from selling film. The world went digital. Kodak died. My name is Rosie Ebe-Arthur. I love HR, is what I do. People are what I do. Not people for the sake of people, but people to drive strategy. And I look at what I do in life, and I wondered 2 years ago, after many, many years of planning, I retired. And you'd wonder, we're only children, why is she talking to us about retirement? I can assure you that I terrorized my son with retirement. So I retired, and I had planned so well. But there's a little thing called fear, which speaks in your ear, and I'd been very, very busy. In my last job in Nigeria, I had 24,000 staff. So I never slept. And then suddenly, I had myself and 2 dogs. So I kept thinking, what am I going to do with my life? So for me, I looked at it from the view of this is a new job. I need a new job. So what have I done? I've had to look at a number of things. I know one thing for sure. In a book that was written by a guy called Marshall Goldsmith, he said, what got you here won't get you there. So as you sit with all your plans, all your degrees, all you've achieved, that's for today. What about tomorrow? Now I look at things that happened to me and I thought, what shall I do in my new job? So I looked at retirement as a new job because another transition, and you have many transitions in life. First question, what am I going to do? How can I stay relevant? Because really, that's one of the most important things. Now, if you've been in a busy job where everybody comes to you and everybody needs something from you, and suddenly nobody needs anything from you, some people get depressed. So I had to think about that. I asked myself, are you ready to dance with what life gives you? Because the world around me was changing very quickly. So I thought about these things, and I like to hang out with a lot of young people. How many of you have used ChatGPT? I'm not your teacher, I won't report you. Put up your hand if you have. How many of you know Canva? So these are some of the things that I started thinking about. So when I spoke to Albert this afternoon, and I said, do you want me to do a presentation, or can I just talk through it? He said, well, a few pages might be helpful. So I had my notes, but in about 15 minutes, using Canva, I put together my very first presentation to the world. So you must clap for me for that. So in my new work, what do I do? We are talking about reskilling and upskilling. One of the things that I've embarked on, because everybody's a coach now, everybody mentors, but I decided I don't want to use the usual frameworks. I want to use neuroscience. And neuroscience gives you some logic and the way the brain works to how we react. So I said, I want to do something different. So I've embarked on using brain science in coaching, because that's what I want to do. And my friends kept asking me, why don't you coach? You've got so many leaders who come to you and ask you, to help them, you sit with them. I said, yeah, and I was thinking, no, I want a clear framework, something logical. I don't want any feelings and all that. I want to be able to explain where that feeling of fear is coming from, which part of your brain is making you act like that. That's what I want. So literally, I believe, in this case, upskilling myself because I'm adding more to what I know, but it's going to amplify what I do. Canva was something that one of my son's friends challenged me with. And within 3 hours, she said, Auntie Rosie, I finished teaching you. I'm like, oh, we just started. She said, no, you can do the rest yourself. So I've been learning Canva. Now, can I do all my work myself? I decided that I might need to take on an assistant, and I thought, but some days I don't feel like working. I'm retired. I should be able to sleep all day if I want to. But the assistant will come and knock at the door and be ready for work. And I don't like any wahala. So ChatGPT is my assistant. If I need something doing in rough, I'll ask ChatGPT to do it. And then I'll take it, I'll add my experience and my knowledge and my research to it. So instead of having an assistant and saying, oh, can you research this for me? I ask ChatGPT to do it. So this is the new world that we're in. I also use something called Otter AI. Because I attend board meetings and other meetings like that, Otter AI does my meetings for me, does my notes for me. I've set it up. So when the meeting starts, it knocks, ko. You click a button, Otter AI comes in, and it's called Rosie AI. And it will take all my minutes, and it will highlight all the key points for me. And with the meetings I can't attend, especially some online meetings that I attend because I want to learn more, I ask Otter AI to attend on my behalf. And it takes all the minutes, and afterwards I can read them at my leisure. So I have a fully fledged AI complement of staff who support me in the work that I do. But you have to be able to look ahead, to sense, and to think about how you want to be in the world that you're in. If we go to the next slide, I want to set some context for us on future skilling. Why is this all so important? A number of things have happened. And we went through COVID. It seems like it was many years ago. It wasn't that long ago. And a lot of us had to stay at home. And a lot of us had to learn how to use Teams, Zoom. Whether you were old, whether you were young, it didn't matter, because if you wanted to stay connected to the world, you had to learn it. And you had to learn it on your own, in your house, by yourself, or else you'd have no one to talk to. Now, look at what happened in line with that. Remote working started. So the question that we need to start asking ourselves, these are 3 questions for you. What does work look like? Mike Reed, who's the group CEO for WPP, the #1 advertising agency in the UK, said this. He said we should focus more on the jobs that will be disrupted by AI, artificial intelligence, instead of the jobs that will be created by AI. So what does work look like? The augmented work, I watched a clip yesterday where a brain surgery was being done by sound waves. They don't even cut anything anymore. So think about what is changing about the work that I do, or the work I'm planning to do, or the area of work that I want to move into. Think around it. I don't understand how people can sit down with their friends, have beer, talk football all afternoon, when a more interesting topic would be, how are jobs changing? How is that job going to be? What is the legal profession going to look like? What is finance going to look like? Everybody's doing online banking now. These are questions, these are conversations we should have. So, redesign of work. What is work going to look like? Where is work going to be done? Are we going to go to the office? Are we going to do it at home? Are we going to do it on an airplane? Will we do it in the field? You've got to understand that, because that's going to help you to understand what are the collaborative tools that I need in order to do this work. Third question, which applies directly to you, is the workforce. Who is going to do this work? Is it going to be a job in Ghana being done by a Ghanaian? Is it going to be a robot? Are we going to get the skills from India and they'll stay at home, so where the work gets done, and they'll do the work? Who is doing this work? What do I need to know to be able to do this work? So you need to take time to think around that and research it. And those who've been using ChatGPT, ask ChatGPT the question. Ask him, where is work going to be? I'll just put in these 3 questions and tell it to act as a consultant and give you the ideas. So these are 3 areas that have pushed the whole conversation around reskilling and upskilling to the fore. Because for you to operate in this new world, you may need to upskill. Can we go to the next slide? You may need to reskill. But whatever way it is, you will have to change the way you do work. Let me bring it to you as an individual further. Is it the pay that matters to you? Because that is constantly changing. And people have moved from pay to purpose. If you understand the purpose, if you set a purpose for yourself, you are able to adapt and have a more flexible view of the skills that you require in order to achieve that purpose. But if you are just being, as Prof said, you are just satisfied with where you are taking your paycheck, the world is going to leave you behind. Think about my satisfaction, because that goes straight into that. So if you're going to stay where you are, then you're not going to develop. You're not going to learn new things. You're not going to challenge yourself. You're going to stay in your comfort zone. But people are shifting from the past to the future. Now we're not so afraid of our bosses, thanks to COVID, because they had to beg us to come to work. So now they're interested in our well-being as well. Is that your yes, a master? Or can your boss be your coach? Can this be the person who can guide you in your career? How are you utilizing your boss's experience? What kind of questions are you asking your boss? Because these are areas that add value to what we're doing. And a lot of us are afraid, like exams. If they say, oh, it's your annual review, we start shaking. It's a conversation that's meant to help you. In my younger days, nobody wanted to be in my review because they said I would come in with a lot of files. Because whilst you are reviewing me too, I'm reviewing you. So I also had a list of things that you said you would do that you didn't do. And I would have my evidence. So when they say, oh, who's reviewing Rosie? They all say, I'm busy today. And I'm like, you can be busy until tomorrow. I'll be waiting with my files. Use that opportunity to ask the questions, because your reviews are a safe space for you as well. Don't focus so much on your weakness. Just make sure that your weakness does not take away from what you can achieve. So make sure at least you can deal with it. If you know that it's finance, at least study online, finance for non-finance people. So you are not so lost when people are talking about balance sheet and they say, oh, BS, and you are thinking they are saying something completely different when all they are saying is balance sheet. So you've got to make sure that your weakness does not detract away, and then hone in on your strengths and make sure that you've got that as an edge. The last point on that slide is my job or my life. So you hear more now about the balance. People used to talk about work-life balance. Now we've moved into work-life integration, because life is what we're doing, and work now sits squarely within our life, especially since we worked from home. You call people, their babies will be crying. They'll be like, oh, I'm so sorry, I have to drop my child I've got to go to the hospital. Then you're like, okay, can we chat in 2 hours? So you see how much work has intruded into our life. So what is your focus? Is it just a job? or is it your life? If it's your life, then give it purpose. All these are interconnected. So when we talk about reskilling and upskilling, I already mentioned that we did things. You all heard about e-levy, and everybody was upset. They're going to take our money. But there are so many people selling online, and you know that. For the longest time, I only buy my stuff on Instagram. I don't know who made this dress. I bought it on Instagram. I asked for it. I paid online. They delivered to me online, all the way from Lagos, Nigeria. Why shouldn't government take money on that? Are you kidding? Who's going to look after our nation? So all those things have changed because we are delivering in different ways. We are working in different ways. So when you talk about reskilling, reskilling is much more difficult to do than upskilling. When you reskill, you are learning new skills, usually for a totally new job. And you heard Prof talk about that. So when you think around what's going on in the world today, how should you reskill? What should you look out for? What is changing so rapidly around you that's making you uncomfortable? Because being uncomfortable is a good thing. It means that something has to change. When you look at upskilling, you're building on your skills in order to optimize your delivery. So if I use neuroscience to coach, I do know how to coach, but I'm adding something to give me the edge over the next coach. I'm learning something to augment what I know. And that is the whole essence of reskilling. What happened on 6th of June? Can anyone tell me? I'm sure you all know this. What happened on 6th of June this year? I'm not going to preach to you about curiosity, but think about it, huh? It's a good thing to have. What did Apple do? Apple launched their headset. It is a headset that gives you the ability for spatial communication. Please Google it and look at it. It's a headset that is said to beat all others that have been released. And let me scratch my head. It also costs $3,500. But it's not about Apple releasing the headset per se. It's about the fact that other people are going to start releasing similar. It's going to be available. You wear it. It allows you to communicate to the next person sitting with you. It's not like the headsets that we have now that you are logged in. This one allows you to even chat with somebody whilst you're wearing it. Your favorite apps are in front of you. You can enlarge your telly to a football stadium and watch it. It does all kinds of things. And it's a big deal. It's a big deal because there's a race to the top. Everybody wants to deliver something different. So be curious. Be curious because all these things, you think it's far away from Ghana. It's not. It's going to impact us when it comes to the kind of jobs that you can get, because now we're in a borderless world. People are taking your jobs because you are not reskilling or upskilling. So you go, the Chinese are taking your job, the Indians are taking your jobs because they apply and they've got the skill. What have you got to offer? What do you want to offer? Let me talk a little bit about the kind of jobs that we see coming up. And so if we move to what are the disrupted jobs that we see, I'll just take a few of them. There's a job like when you hear CFO, I'm sure you know who a CFO is. Who's a CFO? Anyone can shout it out. Chief Future Officer. So in some of the shops, they're using that to look at how can we use e-commerce in a different way? How do we make sure that the client experience is right? You'll find a job like remote work facilitator. I thought that was just an HR job, but apparently now we need to engage differently because the person at home doesn't really want to do their job, and if you annoy them, they'll leave. So they need someone who can make sure the culture is the same. So there are a whole number of jobs that have been disrupted by AI. So you have things like an augmented reality designer. And that person uses imagination. And my son does a job like that, and he says to me, "Mom, anything you think about, I can create." I thought that was God's job. He said, but yes, this is where we are. So if you imagine something, an augmented reality designer can do that for you and create it in this world that we are now in. These are things that I want you to start thinking about when you are studying, when you're thinking about what next, when you're thinking about what job to do. Then I'll move on to, so what shall I do? All these big things, what shall I do? You've got to understand the world of tomorrow by reading and researching. Decide which part of industry you want to be in and start looking closely at what changes are going on there. Plan and prioritize. You can't from here jump over there, but have your purpose, set up what you want to do, and start planning how you want to do it. You're going to have to save money. You're going to have to sacrifice. I have a mentee who someone suggested I help, and I've never met her before, but I mentor her, and she said, "I want to do law, and in the next 2 years, I want to have my own consultancy." I'm like, what have I been working all my life for? That you just came, no, who you want to go and start? And I said, so when are you going to start this law? How much does it cost? Who is going to help you? All that thinking had not happened. And this is why mentoring and coaching is important, because it grounds us and it helps us in that way. So you are going to have to save. You're going to have to plan your time. You're going to have to know who can help you. And it doesn't mean going to ask for money. You may have a baby and you might need babysitting help. You might need a place, maybe from college, that you can stop and study. Think about all these things, because this is really what is required if you're going to be successful. You must have a plan, or else you could be going anywhere, a journey that's going nowhere. What else must you do? Continuous learning. Prof has spoken to us about continuous learning. What does it mean to us? Learning is like exercise. You snooze, you lose. If you don't keep on doing it, and there's so many ways of doing it now. LinkedIn does there are free programs on LinkedIn, free programs on Udemy, free programs on Coursera. There are podcasts you can listen to. The world is begging us to learn. Adapt to change. Be aware of what's going on around you. Read. Don't just stay comfortable. Challenge yourself. Understand the industry trends. If you've decided that you want to work in banking, you should know that the mobile money exists. So if you are looking at banking, maybe you should be looking at MTN or Vodafone, because they're all going to be doing banking. So understand the industry trends. Your own commitment to this, your own study schedule. I had to put together a study schedule, and this weekend, Saturday, there's so many nice things happening in town, but I'm in school from 9 to 5. I'm feeling the pain, but I'm like, how about Sunday? They're like, no, we're going out on Saturday. I'm like, it's okay. It's not forever. I will win. So make your plan. Choose your friends carefully. If indeed we are the sum of the 5 people that we interact with all the time, I know that is true, because my father used to say when we were young, show me your friends and I'll show you your character. And as I've grown up, I check on my son's friends. I'm like, so who have you been hanging out with? And if they are very boring people, I tell him, these people, they are not going to take you anywhere because their mind is not agitated to look for stuff. So please look at your friends carefully and choose the friends that will challenge you, ask you questions, and force you to be different. These are some of the things I want you to think about. And last but not the least, calm. Make the right choices. Be adaptable. Build resilience. When you fail, do it again. When you fall down, get up and do it again. Never look back and never give up. Learning, and by learning I mean continuous learning. Last but not the least, your values, your morals. Because if you are clear on your beliefs and what you won't do, fewer things will tempt you. You will not go and commit fraud at the bank. You will not steal. You won't do momo fraud and be calling people and asking them, so phone I say. You won't be doing those things. So your morals and your values. Thank you.
Lock your Wednesday evening for high-level networking, learning, and fellowship. It's about raising leaders and shaping vision to influence society through Christ. Practical Christianity Hangout, exploring biblical answers to questions on economics, finance, leadership, governance, and the contemporary issues of our time. ICGC, the New Wine Temple, East Legon. This and every Wednesday from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. There will be a power networking and cocktail session right after the program. Prepare to be pace setters in your family, ministry, business, finance, profession, governance, and your social life. Practical Christianity Hangouts. Join us this Wednesday evening and bring a friend. ICGC New Wine Temple. We are one big family in Christ.
You are as excited as I am about these two amazing resource persons. Why don't you let your applause reflect your appreciation for Professor Pikay Richardson and Miss Rosie Ebe-Arthur. Let those listening from Russia, Ukraine, and Argentina hear your applause. Thank you very much. So this brings us to this segment where you take over the program and get to ask your questions. And I would like to encourage every one of you to make time to ask your questions. Before we field your questions, a reminder that if you have your voucher for the giveaway with you, kindly hand it over to the ushers at this point, because right after this segment, we will be going on to the giveaways. But while we are at it, if you have a question, please line up behind the microphones. And if you are online, please send your questions early through any of the platforms that you are watching us on, and we'll be happy to ask our resource persons for you. Let me acknowledge, while we are here, our friends from UPSA. Let's put our hands together for UPSA. I want to see you. UPSA, all over the auditorium, thank you very much for joining us today. Last week we were expecting you, but today you are here fully represented. One more time, UPSA, let's hear it for them. Let's appreciate our friends from DTI. Let's see DTI. Wonderful, thank you very much. Let's hear it for our friends from the Demonstration School for the Deaf, all the way from Ekropon. No, they don't like this kind of clap. If you are in person, the way you clap for them is... So all of you learn, Let's welcome our friends from the Demonstration School for the Deaf in Ekropon. You're learning how to clap for them. All right, so I want to make sure that every institution, of course, all those of us here from the New Wine Temple, let's hear you. All right, so all clusters of us are here, all our friends from the community, from all over the city, thank you so much for coming. Please ask your questions now and line up behind the microphones and ask your questions. Your first name and your question, please. Technical team, kindly assist them with their question, please. Now, while they get ready to ask the question, I am fascinated today by the fact that both of you are not necessarily in the beginning stages of your career. So when you mentioned learning 9 to 5 on a Saturday, I'm asking myself, Rosie, you don't have a prep supervisor following you. What keeps you going at midday when it's lunchtime, you are tired and feeling sleepy? What keeps you going? In a minute, before we go to the questions.
I hope you saw me rolling my eyes. I'm so committed to the fact that I want to do different, and I want to be ahead of the curve every day to stay relevant. And the course is exciting. It really is. So I keep on with lots of tea, no milk, no sugar. I keep going. I'm looking forward to my tomorrow.
Wow. Pikay, before we get to the questions from the audience, when you jump onto the plane from one country to another and you look back and realize that you are in probably the 4th country and you have still not slept on your bed in Manchester, what keeps you traveling? What keeps you going? Is it thrilling?
It's the joy of sharing. I believe that knowledge has to be shared. And I spend a lot of time listening to people, making notes, reading books, upgrading myself. And once I've got it, I think other people must know what I know. And it's about leadership. It's about, if you're a good leader, you're actually thinking about, if I'm not there, who's going to carry on? You know, you've done all the magic, but when you're not there, someday you'll not be there. Who's going to also take the mantle and do even more than you did? So that's the kind of thing that drives me, that whatever I know, which I know to be useful, other people must have it. Some will take it and not use it, it doesn't matter. Even if 1% of those who listen to me actually apply the good knowledge and make a contribution to society, then I've done my job. That's what drives me.
Pikay Richardson and Rosie Ebe-Arthur, one more time, let's appreciate them. All right, let's start with my friend on the right. Your first name and then your question. Keep your questions very brief so we can take as many as we can.
Sure. Good evening. My name is Michael, and my question is, it goes to Miss Rosie regarding the last slide about choosing your friends right. So I have a very strong passion for business, so I try to find friends who are also motivated in that. And what I discovered is, like, most of the time you find people who like to talk about their thing, but when it comes to actually doing it, like they don't show up, or it doesn't work out. So my question is, how do you find people who are actually interested in taking action and to surround yourself with? Thank you.
Thank you very much. How do you find people interested in the field that you are in so they can be an inspiration to you? Let me take a second one and then we'll take some answers. Yes, your first name.
Yes, my name is Faisal Yusuf. Please, my question is, how can individuals best identify the skills they need to develop to advance in their career? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Did you say Faisal Yusuf? Yes. Faisal, thank you very much. All right, let me take one from here. Your first name. All right, while you line up, let me take the first question we'll give brief answers so we can take, I see the numbers are growing. You have a packed house today. So let's start with you, Rosie. Michael says, you mentioned choosing your friends right. How he's struggling to find friends who are interested in what he's doing so they can motivate or inspire him as it were. What would be your advice to Michael?
I think it's not easy to pick the right friends. And that's why it's such a critical part of this conversation. You know, at the end of last year, I had a number of young people come to spend Christmas. And I would sit there and listen to their conversations, and even I was inspired. And I thought, so I can do this. I mean, these people are like in their 20s, and their ideas are big. And I was sitting there, I'm like, I can do this. So I decided that even for myself, I would focus more on what can I bring to the table. So I would test different groups of friends. I'll bring up a discussion. I'll see the way they would take to it. I'll see whether some of them would say, oh, can we do this next week? Do you think we can? And then I'll pick that person. Because we all have different groupings of friends, not just one lot. There's one lot that we used to spend a lot of time eating fufu, drinking and dancing and all that. And I thought, I need to pull back small from this group. And then I need to focus and also pull back small from Instagram. And then start writing, thinking, planning. And I used to say to myself, until I birth something this year, I'm not playing. So I'm moving in and out of groups of friends. I'm asking questions. Some people help me in the same way someone taught me how to do Canva and said, I'm always ready if you have a problem, I'll help you. So that's how I started learning. Somebody introduced me to Otter, which does my meeting notes. So you will find special people amongst your friends. You won't find them all in the same place. I've gone from a 26-year-old to a 52-year-old, and there's a mix. And I'm comfortable in that. So search hard and make sure you find the right ones.
Wonderful. Let me give you a minute, PK, to speak to Faisal Yusuf, who says, how do you find the skills that you need to take you to the next level?
Right. Somebody said, one of the big stars standing on stage said, oh, you've got to follow your passion. You've got to follow your passion. Now, if your passion doesn't put food on the table, then it's a hobby. It's really a hobby.
Oh, man.
Because you need to live, isn't it? You need to survive, you need to have family, you need to look after children. So whatever you do should put food on the table. And the question is, where is the world going? Where are the new jobs coming? Where is industry moving to? Which are the new growth areas? So you yourself should be spanning the environment to see where the opportunities are coming. And say, yeah, the next 10, 20 years, this will be the growth area. So if I have a job in it, I've got a skill in it, I will survive, I'll get a job. That's what you've got to open your eyes to scan the environment. Let me just illustrate with a simple example. Everybody thinks that Nokia has always been a mobile phone company. That's not true. Nokia used to be a conglomerate producing car tires, chemicals, paper, and a small TV division. It was a conglomerate. In 1992, a new CEO was appointed called Joma Olita. When he took the position, he said, this company has got so many power, jack of all trades, operating in one of the smallest countries in the world, Finland. At that time, mobile telephony was in its infancy. But this guy was remarkably clairvoyant. He could look into the future and say, this is the way this mobile telephony is going. He sold all the divisions of the company and put all the money into the small electronics division and built the biggest mobile phone company within 10 years. So for your own life, that's the kind of thing you need to do, to be scanning the environment and see where the new jobs are, what the opportunities are, and then move in that direction.
Thank you very much. Let me acknowledge Susan Ofori, listening from Doha, Qatar. One country I've not been to that I must go very soon. Yes, your question.
Good evening. Please, I'm asking this question within the context of Christianity since we're in the church. So, my name is Walali Awakame. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was looking this way and the question was coming from this way. Start again, please. The first name.
My name is Walali Awakame. I'm asking this question within the context of Christianity since we're in the church. My lecturer was teaching, and he was talking about how, as a marketer, I do marketing. He said, as a marketer, you need to put your morality aside and then aim for the cash, not ethics. He said, you need to uphold your ethics, but in terms of morality, for example, as a Christian, Christians are not allowed to listen to secular music, but with the reach of the secular musicians, when you use them to endorse your brand and use them as the face of your brand, it will sell.
Slow down. Sorry. Ask your question slowly so we can hear you. And keep it very short so you can understand the question. So what's the question?
What's the question? I'm saying that as a Christian and as a business person, can capitalism and morality be reconciled?
Can capitalism and morality be reconciled?
I want us to give context, but there's no time.
We got it. Can they be reconciled? I'll ask my guest here. Thank you. What's your first name?
Walali.
Walali, can capitalism and morality be reconciled? Thank you, Walali. Let me go here and I'll come back to my friends from the demonstration school for the deaf. So hold on a second. Let me go here to take one question.
Okay, I'm Richard.
Richard, okay.
Yeah. And then my question is to Mr. Richardson.
Yes.
And then he made mention that he self-taught. That is, he learned leadership by himself. And then in such fields, there are so many skills that some of us have learned by ourselves. How do you then sell this skill out without nothing to prove that, yeah, I have this skill, but you have learned it, you are very good at it, but yes, still, there's nothing to show that, yes, you really have this skill.
And your first name is?
Richard.
Richard, okay. And let's have one question so we can take as many as we can. Thank you very much. So let me give you 1 minute to speak to Rosie. Do you have moral, ethical boundaries, or is the search for money limitless? Does faith have no place in the choices that you make as a person?
I think it's a question that is really relevant in today's world, and I'm sure we've all been looking at how businesses are being challenged to be more ethical in the way they deliver. So it's not just a church matter. It's a matter that has governance issues that a lot of organizations are looking at. There are companies that won't work with companies who are not focused on being ethical. There are jobs coming up, AI ethics manager. There are all these things, and the ethics are more and more, becoming more and more important. And if you look at banking, for instance, you'll go in there, you'll find that, or in consulting, this is a big client, but their ethics or their values may not align to your company ethics and values. And you'll be surprised that companies turn business away when they find that the values are not right. That doesn't mean others will not do it. Some people will. But look at what's happening in the world around us with ESG, which is around ethics, sustainability, and governance. This is now a big issue, and companies are being asked to demonstrate where have they reached on this trajectory of ESG. And we are being asked to show, even in boards, etc., that this is being done. So you may get away with it today, but the world is changing so rapidly. And sometimes to even get business, you've got to prove that you are ethical.
Thank you.
So it's not just church, it's what's happening in our world today.
Big issue all over the world. Thank you so much. PK, before I come here, let me ask you a quick one from Mr. Richard. He says, you taught yourself. He's more interested in the second part. How do you sell the skills? Let me give you 1 minute for that. How do you sell the skills after you have learned?
Right. When you get a skill, you've got to let other people know you've got a skill. Otherwise, nobody's going to call you. If it's in your head and you sit down and do nothing, nobody will know. So you've got to find a way of actually letting people know that you've got a skill. Let me illustrate with myself. I used to teach strategic management MBA at GIMPA. That's what I used to teach. Every year they would invite me to come and teach it, and I would teach it well. And a lot of the big guys in this country were my students in GIMPA. We thank God, I'm very proud. Then I called Professor Ade and said, Professor Ade, you are in charge of the leadership, but I want to share the teaching with you. He said, PK, when did you ever become a leadership guru? I said, I've learned it. Oh, really? Let's try you. And I had Bagman in my class, I have Joe Weiss in my class, and I delivered and I scored 99 out of 100. And since then, everybody is calling me for leadership. In other words, you've got to actually let people know what you can do. And then people will pick up, and the success will lead to success elsewhere. You know, people will talk about, I went to his class, or he did it very well. You know, it's like a carpenter. You know, if you come out, nobody knows you. But if you do the job well, other people will get to know, and then it goes round.
Thank you very much.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
I think in today's world, it's even easier. How many of you are on LinkedIn? Update your LinkedIn profile. How many of you are on TikTok? What are you using it for? Do it. Tell the world what you know. How many of you are on Instagram? Even me, old lady, I'm on those things. And you're asking how you... Go there and go and do the things you should do. Go and update your profile. Put yourself out there. Do examples. Show on TikTok examples of what you know. And get moving. Time is running out.
Thank you very much. All right. So let me go to my friends from the demonstration school for the deaf.
My name is Clifford Asante.
Madam, turn the mic to face you so that while he signs and you watch, you can ask the question for him. I really want to hear this question.
My name is Clifford Asante. That is my name, Clifford Asante. When I finish school, I want to become a soldier. But because of discrimination in the society, what should I do? Should I look for anything else? Should I go to the barbering shop to work there or the hotel? What should I do? But I want to become a soldier. What should I do because of discrimination in the society?
Wonderful.
That is my problem.
What's his first name again? Clifford.
Clifford Asante.
So Clifford's question is about versatility. What should he do? The original intention, soldier, discrimination. Let's take another one also from the demonstration school. Is there another one from the demonstration school? All right. Thank you very much. Let's answer. Please clap for Clifford. No. Clifford, your question. All right. So, Rosie, what happens when did you always want to be what you eventually became? What can Clifford do when there seems to be a barrier to what he originally wants to do?
I never knew what I wanted to do. I knew I had to work hard because that had been instilled in me from the start. I was never one of those who was, I want to be a doctor or anything. I just knew I had to work hard. And like Prof said, I had to put food on the table. So anything that you gave me to do, I would do to my best. And it always opened doors. But in today's world, unlike the past, there's mentoring and there's coaching. So Clifford, there will be people who can help you here in this room, back at the school, who can sit with you and say, what are the opportunities? Don't be put off by what you can and cannot do today. Because start now, learn whatever you can learn, show yourself that you can excel at whatever you're given to do. And look into the big companies, because a lot of them are looking to increase their diversity. Because you bring a different perspective to problem solving. So don't look at it and say, oh, what can I do? But look at it from, what can I bring to the table? What am I learning now that can change somebody's solution, that can add value to a problem that's being solved? Don't be put off. Look into the big companies because they have the stretch and they will give you a chance.
Thank you very much. And while we are at it, Clifford, also note that in the army, it's not just the infantry. There are different roles in the army. And once you become very good at what you do, you will find that some of them fit exactly into the area that you are strong at. So keep asking questions. And I like the fact that you asked the question. Just for asking yourself a question, you've won yourself a book. So Clifford, Comfort, there's a book under my chair. Clifford, come up front and get a book for asking a question. I think it's just beautiful. Let's give Clifford a rousing. You've won the book called Snakes and Ladders. It's about the barriers you face in life and how to surmount them. So please give Clifford a very special thumbs up. Aha, aha. Clifford, do you like that? Somebody tap him. Yeah. All right, so give me a thumbs up. You like that? Yeah, you like it. Aha, I love that. All right. Let's just have fun together in the house of God. Okay. Next person, let's hear your question.
Good evening. Please, I'm Filippo Ime, and then my question goes to Mr. Pikay. Please, you talked about you changing from one profession to another. Please, I want to ask that what motivated you, and then what was your greatest fear, and how was you able to overcome it? Yes, I want to know.
And the first name is?
Philip Oyime.
Philip. What motivated PK to switch? Okay. So let's not add on to the questions. These are the last that we'll take. We'll take 3 at a time and then try and answer them. All right. Next person.
Good evening to the house and to our renowned speakers. My name is Abraham Telia. So I've been privileged to be a student leader, and I understand the numerous tasks and challenges that deal with organizing events like this, the ups and downs. So being the external affairs president of my institution, which is UPSC, I'll be very glad that there can be a collaboration or partnership between the organizers of the events and our SRC, so that we can be able to nurture and mentor young individuals to impact their societies far beyond how they came to meet them. So thank you so much.
Request granted. May you live long. All right. Request granted. Next one.
My name is Emmanuel Yamiche. My question is, what are some of the effective strategies and techniques that an individual can apply to be successful in upskilling and reskilling journey? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Effective techniques for upskilling and reskilling. Let's take one more from here, and then we'll answer 3, and then come back to the last 3 here and the last 3 here.
Okay, good evening. I'm Gladys. So my question goes to Professor Pikay. So I want to ask, how did you manage to transition from yourself in the process of your self-assessment? How did you manage that change? Because change is good, but sometimes change is scary, even as a student. So how did you manage that self-assessment transition?
Right. The first name is?
Gladys.
From UPSC?
Yes, please.
Excellent. So Gladys, here, what course are you reading?
Public Relations Management.
Public Relations Management. Yes. All right. So even before you sit down, I will give you a public relations expert here, so that during the interaction time, the snacks after the main event, they can give you a few tips about industry secrets. Would you like that?
Yes, please.
So we have a deal, Gladys.
Yes,
let's put our hands together for Gladys. That's the whole idea. That's the whole idea. Next week, come in your numbers. We'll make it happen. So let's start with Philip, who was asking Pikay, what motivated the change? If I was to give you one word, what word will it be?
All right. One of the most important determinants.
Pikay, one word. What motivated the change? I want to hear one word.
Excitement. I was excited.
I thought you said money.
Money was part of it. Success was part of it, because I actually equated success with doing what I enjoy, as well as that what I enjoy bringing more money.
So excitement, the thrill of success, and then the reward of getting paid for it.
Yes.
Okay, so Philip, that's the answer to your question. The excitement first, the thrill of getting things done, and then also being able to be rewarded. Nyamiche wants to know from you, Rosie, techniques for upskilling and reskilling.
I think it's really good to scan the environment and understand the changes. And we all know that there's a lot going on with AI and the impact it's going to have on jobs. So whether it's in the health services, financial, marketing, I'm sure now we have digital marketing people who are also known as influencers, etc. So it's to really look around you and understand that, and then look at the skills that you're building, so you can determine where you fit in. What is it you enjoy doing? What is it that you feel can generate income? What is it that you are good at? So that you can start from that perspective, and then you build in to say, where can I learn about this? Do I need to reskill, or do I need to upskill? Maybe you are doing law and you've moved, through it. Maybe you've done 2-3 years. You're thinking, okay, what's happening in law? Well, a lot of things are being done by AI. So which part of law must I now transition to? And what are the skills that I need in that respect? If you are in marketing, then you're going to look at, how is AI impacting marketing? How can I get information out? How can I communicate? What are the collaborative tools that I need? How do I understand these tools? Where can I find knowledge? Where should I go to learn? Where should I, where can I get free programs so that you don't spend too much money? Where can I, like you're here today, where can I get free mentoring? Where can I get the support? Who do I speak to? Who's smart in this? Who's done well in it? Who has failed in it? You've got to keep asking yourself, and then you've got to look at, what time do I have? How much time can I devote to this? What can I afford? Who can help me? When can I do this work? Can I do something? Can I do a side hustle on top of this? You've got to ask yourself those questions.
You've
those
asked 23 questions in the past 2 minutes. 23 questions. Gladys wants to know, this whole gamut of managing change, isn't it scary?
And difficult.
So Gladys, that's your answer. It's scary and difficult. But if it is, why do it?
Well, I was scared this afternoon when you said PowerPoint. So there, because when he said you might need to, maybe you can present something, I was like, chai, look at the time. What does he want me to do? Then I thought, Canva, I'm going to try. If I fail, I'll call this friend who taught me and have her online. But I was able to do it. Very basic presentation, but I did it. So, but I was scared. I was scared it wouldn't work.
I keep hearing the two of you talk about problem solving, not in the same words, but just overcoming obstacles and just getting things done. And I have a feeling that for our friends who are here, who are from, still in school, this will be probably a very key tool in doing well at work, just solving problems. Let me go to my three friends on the left, then I'll come to the three on the right as we wrap up with this. Yes?
So my name is Beraka.
Okay, Beraka.
And Miss Rosie said something like, we should update our CV profiles. We should update our CVs, profiles on LinkedIn and social media. And my question is, looking at myself, if I'm to go on social media right now, I'll literally spend unnecessary time over there, which I could be productive somewhere else. Yet there is a lot of money on social media. So how do I use that to my profit or to my benefits?
Okay, even before I throw the question, next week we'll do a whole session on profitably using digital media with one of the finest resource persons you will find in this country on digital media. Not just showing you where the world is heading, but where the opportunities are and how you can use it. But my guest will give you some highlights. But next week, if you are here next week, Maximus Ametego will be telling us where the money is on digital media and how to find it. So make a date next week here at the PCH final edition before we go on a break from season 2. Thank you, Baraka. Next person.
My name is Christian Delali, and my question is to Prof. Looking at your life experiences, I can see that each and every sector, which is the engineering, broadcast engineering, moving to the lecturing, all helped out to be the better version of yourself now. So as we are all learning to be able to learn new stuffs, sometimes you learn and then you end up going off way because you are trying to learn new things and then get a hold of everything that comes your way. So I'm asking if there's any criteria on which you should follow when learning the stuff so that you don't go off.
Thank you very much.
I think it's a combination of interest and usefulness. You know, the interest is about this passion, but as I said, if the passion doesn't put food on the table, then it's only a hobby. You know, you must have some interest in what you want to do. If you don't have any interest, it becomes impossible to do it. So interest, and then what value will it bring to you? This is a question you need to ask yourself. You know, this thing that gives you some interest, is this something that I can use to bring value to me, to bring income, to bring quality of life and so forth and so on? You have to examine that yourself. But it's a very simple question of, you know, where do I want to go and why, and will it be useful? These questions, if you ask yourself, you will get the answers coming out.
Thank you very much. I'll come to Baraka's question, but let me take the last one from my left, and then I'll come to Baraka's question.
I'm Ben Selassie. And so my question goes to Prof. And my question is, as an experienced person in upskilling and reskilling, I want to know some of the challenges you faced during this process, and an advice you give to others who want to consider this process. Thank you.
Which process?
The reskilling and upskilling process.
Okay. Challenges and advice. Okay. So the three lined up here. Just hold on a second. Let's take the answers to Ben and Baraka. Baraka is saying that, Rosie, you say update on social media. He's also scared that a number of people have said that people waste time on social media. How does he balance between making himself more useful and avoiding the unproductive use of social media?
I waste time on social media because when I go in there, before I can say, Jack, I've been there for 4 hours. And I'm like, ish, if someone was paying me, how much money have I lost? So it's about discipline and it's about purpose. So when I realized that I had stuff to do and that I had to be in school certain days of the week, I cut down and I said, I'll treat myself to 1 hour of social media every evening. And so I'm always very excited in the evening when I'm going on social media to see what's happening. And I told myself, I'll post pictures once a week. So you have to put in your own, swim lanes. You must, it's without the discipline, you cannot progress. So when I did that, I know people who actually come off Facebook or come off Instagram completely when they want to achieve something. And if you do want to achieve something, then discipline is critical. So if you play around on social media, you look up at your watch and you'd have spent 3 hours there and you would have nothing to show. So if you really want to achieve, make sure you set some parameters yourself. It's like going on a diet. If you say, I won't eat anything, you're going to die. But because we're so used to, I've become so used to social media, I don't see why I should cut myself off completely. I do an hour, and that hour is split between Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So decide what suits you and stick to it.
If I come to you, Prof, let me tell you the formula a friend of mine shared with me, a lawyer, very well-known lawyer, and somebody said, you're always on Facebook. He says, no, it's not true. He says, every single time you're on Facebook. And then he shared the secret. We all just start laughing. He says, I work intensely for 55 minutes every hour at work. And it's so intense that I need a 5-minute break. Then I go on social media and go and start an argument. And then leave them and go and work for my next 55 minutes. When I come back, I say, what did they say? And come and use 5 minutes to spark the argument again. So if you don't know, you say he's there the whole day. So you two are there arguing with others on what he has posted. Meanwhile, he's at work making money. So you are saying there should be a formula, and the formula must suit your own timetable. I love this one. PK, let's go on to Ben, who wants to know the challenges and then the rewards of reskilling.
Sure, everything that you want to do in life, there will be some difficulties, there will be some challenges that you need to face. Nothing comes free. Nothing's come easily. You need to put the work in, you need to cross bridges and so forth and so on. When I wanted to become a lecturer in management rather than engineering, I did the first degree in engineering, of course, I've told you that. After the master's, you don't actually become a professor with a master's these days. You must have a PhD. But I didn't have the money. That's the challenge. I have the money. So I walked to one of my professors and said, I really want to do a PhD, but I don't have the money. So, okay, PK, I'll look for some grant for us to work with, and you do your PhD. In other words, you need to ask the question, this thing that I want to do, what are the challenges, and what can I do about them? A lot of young people that I've helped to get into universities in America actually came to me and said, look, I like to be a university professor. I like the job you do. I want to be similar to you, but I've got a first degree. I don't have any money. I said, look, fine. I will get you some universities. You apply to them and say that you need financial aid. And many of them were given financial aid scholarship. You've got to talk to somebody. You identify the difficulties, the challenges, say, how do I resolve them? And it may mean talking to other people and picking their brains.
While we're at it, you know what? After this, when we go down for the networking interaction, while there will be lots of food, I can also assure you there are about 30 CEOs, consultants, and leaders in this gathering, please take advantage. So pick a little here, but also ask those questions that somebody can point you to an opportunity that will change your life forever. So that's just one more thing for you to think about as we wrap up. Last 3 questions from here. First, your first name and your question.
Good evening, House. My name is Nwanwete Godfred. Godfred. Yeah. So my question goes to Prof. Prof, you did make mention of the world is changing, so we have to adapt to that change. But here lies the case, there are people in possession of natural skills, already made natural skills. So my question is, with such people, should the focus be on improving upon their skills or switching to the new trends of the world, which might not allow them to exhibit their full potentials of life?
Very difficult question, but we'll give it a shot. Godfrey, thank you. Next question.
Good evening. My name is Siegfried, and my question is, I'll quote...
Your name is?
Siegfried. And I'll quote Prof and Miss Rosie. You must be ready at all times to give up what you have to get what you want in the future. Prof said that. And then Miss Rosie said, what got you here won't get you there. And my question is, as a young person, how do you let go or transition or move on without you know, with you knowing that there is no other cushion, and then you not looking ungrateful?
So your question is?
How do you transition? How do you make the transition? How do you make the transition? Because you are trying to change from what you are. Like you don't want to get too comfortable at your current position, but you want to transition. How do you transition without you getting stuck and then you looking ungrateful in that transition?
Okay. Do you understand the question? How do you transition without getting stuck? Is that your question? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Your preamble almost lost me, but I stayed true to the faith. Hold on with the question. You will be the last. You will be the honorable speaker of the house. And that's the last question. Okay, so let's quickly speak to Godfred, who says, you have a natural skill. Do you grow that one, or do you follow the trends? In a minute, PK.
Yeah, good question. But if you've got a skill is something that you use to make a living. All right, you use a skill to actually make a living. And if you've got some skill, whatever you call them, skill, natural or whatever, and nobody wants that skill, nobody wants to employ you because they don't need that skill, then in a sense, that natural skill you've got is useless. The skill must bring something. So if you've got any skill you have, for example, you are the best designer for video cassette recorders, the best in the world, all right? That's your natural skill. But nobody wants video cassette recorders. That skill will bring nothing because nobody is buying video cassette recorders anymore. Your skill is obsolete, useless. So you need to think about, how do I transition to new skills that will put food on the table?
So PK, are you saying that in that regard, transition to the similar things that your skill can produce that are of need in the environment? Is that what you're saying?
That's right. Where people will pay for it. You know, for example, video cassette recorder, you were number one in the world, is gone. It's DVD now.
DVD is also gone. It's also gone.
That's right. It's also going. You know, so just for argument's sake, if DVD is new on the block, can I actually now move and study DVD so that once VCRs are out, I can still have life?
Let me stay right there with the last question that was asked about how do you transition without getting lost? So you're transitioning. How do you transition without getting lost?
I think it's not as simple as transition. It's understanding where you want to go to and what it takes to get there. So it's having a plan and making sure that this plan, you're putting in place the things that can bring this to fruition. So you can't transition because of transition's sake, but you are transitioning because where you want to get to has more relevance, maybe pays more money, maybe gives you more impact. There will be reasons for the transition. So when you look at that, then you've got to think around what do I need to support this transition? Is it going to be help as in coaching? Is it going to be financial assistance? How do I research to understand what the challenges could be? Who's done this before that I can speak to?
Wow.
Those are some of the things that you'll need to look at, but make sure that you have a plan and you prioritize your plan so you can go through a transition. Difficult as it is, you must stay relevant.
I love the part about who's done this before that I can find out something from. I had one speaker. What happened? Okay, I've seen somebody behind. Am I safe? All right.
My name is Richmond Danso.
Come closer to the mic. I want to hear.
My name is Richmond Danso. He has a question. I finished JHS and was able to further my education and
come closer. I want to hear very clearly.
I was able to further my education and completed university. Now, after I decided to apply a job to the government sector, but I wasn't getting any response. So I wasn't getting any response, so I decided to go around and look for a job. So I got a job and I started repairing things for people to pay me. Later, I got a letter that they have employed me in the government sector. Should I do both jobs or should I stop?
You are blessed. That's all I'll say. The first name again is?
Richmond Danso.
Your advice for Richmond, he says he waited for the job didn't come, he found something to do, the money was coming, now the job has come, what should he do?
I'll do both. Depending on the time that is required. You shouldn't take away from your employer. So don't say that, oh, I'm working from home, then you'll be doing another job. So my thing would be, make sure you can deliver to both jobs if possible, and if you can't, then you will have to pick one. If this other one that you are repairing things you can do at the weekend, then do that at the weekend and focus on the other job, and also make sure that the one that you choose leads to where you want to go to. Make sure that it gives you the exposure and the relevance you need and the development that you need.
Thank you very much. I want to stay with the same thing I did for Clifford with you. You've asked the question. Don't go. Aha. Come back. I gave Clifford a book, so let's stay true to ourselves. Dan, so please come for a book. And you also get the same book, Snakes and Ladders. Let's put our hands together for Danso. Danso, give us a smile. I love the smile. Wonderful. Great. I've learned so much from PK and from Rosie, but before they go, let me give you half a minute to tell us your closing thoughts from this wonderful conversation. We could stay with you all night because the more we ask, the more we find out. But give us your closing thoughts. PK, in half a minute.
Yeah, I think this is an excellent meeting. I never ever thought that this would happen. And I'm grateful that Albert and Comfort are putting this thing together. It's really fantastic. It's valuable. And I will join and give my contribution anytime I'm invited.
Rosie, your closing thoughts.
It's been truly an amazing time. And as we were going through this, I kept thinking to myself, if the World Economic Forum says that in the next 3 to 4 years, 40% of skills will change. And if we understand that in a year, the skill that you learn today would be obsolete, it would be useless. What should we be doing about that? So I want to leave you with 2 questions. What if? And the second question, why not? I want you to think about these 2. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Rosie Ebe-Arthur, Pikay Richardson, thank you very much. Let's applaud them as they go back to the seats. I want to hear the kind of applause that shows that we are appreciative of these wonderful resource persons. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you again. A round of applause. Wow. Thank you very much. Please be seated. As we bring this to a close, I want to once again acknowledge all those who joined us across the continents of the world. So many comments, but today we give a bit of priority to our in-house audience in the questions. And so those watching online, please forgive us that we couldn't ask as many of your questions as you would have liked. I would like to thank all of you for coming and especially appreciate our guests once again from UPSA. Let's put our hands together. Our guests from DTI, let's appreciate DTI. All the way from Akropong, the demonstration school for the deaf, let's appreciate them. Thank you very much. Before we do our giveaway, today's giveaway is very special because Pikay's book, somebody will get Pikay's latest book on leadership. That book, even when you hold it without reading it, you become a wise person. And somebody's about to get a free copy of Pikay's book. But before that, it's just a daring thing to put this program together and to bring students from different places and to make this possible and to do all that we do. And today we want to give a chance to help us cover some of the cost of what we do. So we'll put our advert for the PCH app, and while it's playing, we'll take our baskets around. If you can contribute in any way that you can to this, it will be appreciated. It's just an optional opportunity to help us cover this. But we are excited that many young people are getting the chance to have a better life. Dr. Isi Ansan earlier on put up a number of jobs that are available that you could scan the QR code to apply for or copy the link. If you were not online, the link will come up as we get ready to close, so you can scan the link and then also the code that you can copy at the top. Whatever you do, screenshot it, do something so you don't lose this code, because every day new jobs are added. If you are employed, you have 2 jobs like my friend Danso, but you just remembered your cousin who's unemployed, you take a screenshot of this code and send it to them so they can scan it and find out what jobs are available. I mean, every day, every week, young people are being given an opportunity. So let me get up the screen so you can take a screenshot. The code is the yellow one at the top, the black one with the yellow at the top. Just take a screenshot and type it or scan the QR code. The link is at the top, the QR code is here. Let me give you a few minutes. But while you do that, the baskets will go around for you to make your contribution. And I'm going to call my friend Rosalind in a minute to come upstage so we do the giveaway. Pastor Mike, instead of bringing it up here, just pass it around so we can go ahead with the rest of the program. Daniel, get other baskets and pass it around. Thank you. All right, so while you still scan, Rosalind, let's do this. It's time for that part of the program that you love the most. Let's get our giveaways lined up beautifully here. Who has a feeling that you win today? Hey, feelings. All right, your slips are in this basket, this bowl. My hand is going right to the bottom and then it will come out. So, the first name I pick out gets leadership, theory, practice, and cases. This is a hot book across the world, written by Prof Pikay Richardson. Carol, Annan, please come and pick the first winner of this book. And don't make enemies, because I've seen that people have meant the book. All right, so who thinks you're winning it? Oh, I love this. How many management students are here? Management students, all right. Carol, please put your hand in the bowl, to the down, to the left, to the right, and to the Okay. 3, 2. Today the bowl is so full. The hall is packed. All right. The winner. And PK. PK, just do us the honors of presenting it for us, since it's your book, and you autograph it after the person gets to win it. Carol, thanks for let the person get the benefit of the author and the authoree, or the receiver. Oh, show the front. Okay. The winner is Cyril Baidu. Where's Cyril? Cyril Baidu, come like somebody who has won a prize. Don't come like somebody who's scared. Cyril Baidu, you get to win yourself a leadership book. I'm so happy for you. Hey, please take your time. Look at the camera. Hey, this is for Daily Graphic. Look at the camera. My Joy Online, City FM, City TV, Business and Financial Times. You are a big man. PK, please autograph for him so that Cyril can show it to his mother-in-law. Thank you very much. Go back to the seat with PK. Autograph. Oh, no. Excellent, excellent. Right here. Oh, morale. In fact, the way it is going, I think you must stay here, because we'll give out one more of your books, and this time we want to add a smartwatch, a Bluetech smartwatch that you can use to track your exercises, your movement. So PK's book plus a smartwatch. Seth Yabua Okran, please come and pick the second winner for us. Rosie, the smartwatch would have been very useful for exercise. So she didn't register you. She didn't tell the speakers that you qualified. Whenever the first winner is a male, the second winner is a female. So the winner is, should I mention the full name? Full name. The full name is A. If you are here and you have 4 names starting with A, just come, you've won. There's only one person in the hall with 4 names that start with A. Trust me. This is not clairvoyance. This is pastoral discretion. Anybody else who thinks you have 4 names that start with A, come and match her. If not, she has won PK's book plus a watch. Are you scared? Are you scared? Are you scared? No, take your time. What if? PK, take your time. Hold it. First name.
And
second name.
Efua.
Third name.
Aferibia.
Fourth name.
Apia.
And Efua Aferibia Apia gets to win PK's book plus a smartwatch. Next time your parents must give you 4 names that start with A. Anne gets to meet PK all the way from Manchester Business School, and PK gets to autograph the book for Anne. Oh, morale. It gets better every minute. Somebody says the third one. Okay, we have heard. All friends of Anne, a round of applause for Anne. Thank you very much, PK. You can go back to your seat. Thank you very much. All right, the first prize winner for today. You get to win yourself the book 1001 Tips for an Outstanding Life, Snakes and Ladders, and a Samsung Galaxy A14. And you also get to shake the hand of the finest HR professional you'll find in this part of Africa, Rosie Ebe-Arthur. Rosie, come, let's do this. There's only one Rosie. Rosie, come, let's do this. Are you having fun? Who's winning this one? All right, Rosie, let's go right into the bottom of the corner of the turn of the bend of the curve. On 3, on 2, on 1, selected. We pray over this one. All right. If your mobile number ends with 4, lift your left hand. If the 4 is preceded by 5, lift your right hand. 5, 4. Please come for the phone. If your number ends with 5, 4, come for the phone. Anybody here whose mobile number ends with 5, 4, come for the phone. Is that all? Last week we said, is that all? And somebody else came and the person won it. Please, is that all? 5, 4. Some people don't know their number. Oh, no. All right. If your mobile number ends with 5, 4 and you don't come, we'll put it back and pick the winner if it is not these two. On 3, on 2, on 1. Suddenly, some people remember their number. What's your number? Come. Interesting how people can forget their numbers. So the 2 ladies stand on my right, the 2 men stand on my left. Madam, does your number end with 5, 4? What's your first name? Olivia. Michael. Eugene. Olivia, Michael, Eugene. You are Michael, and you are okay. The 2 of you stand here. Who is getting the phone? Is it
Eugene.
Eugene or
Olivia.
Is it Eugene or Olivia? How many want Olivia? Let me see by hand. 45%. How many want Eugene? Oh, 44.5%. Round 2. All right. Rosie, what do we do? One of them must be given a book as consolation. Consolation. Is it Olivia or Eugene? Olivia or Eugene? Olivia. How many think is Olivia? How many think is Eugene? And the winner is
Olivia.
Olivia Na Obodai. Just tell us the first 3 digits of your phone number. Just tell us the first 4 digits and you win the phone.
0506.
It is indeed 0506, and Olivia Na Obodai gets to win. Oh, where's Eugene? Eugene went away with his book. All right, so Olivia, that's yours. Olivia is getting some coaching from Rosie. Wonderful picture. Let's put our hands together for them. Rosalind, come. Next week is our last PCH before we get into 40 days of power. But from 10 weeks of doing this, what's your big feeling about what's happening in this place?
The experience has been awesome. The experience has been phenomenal. The speakers you've brought all these 10 weeks has been something else. It's been a mind-opening sessions every time. And I keep getting into that every week. My sister watches online. So she tells me, it seems like this week was better than last week. Oh. And then the next week she'll tell me, I said this week too is better than last week. So yeah, so every week, yes, you've been improving. So we'll miss everybody. I'm sure you miss me as well, but don't worry, we'll come back soon.
All right, if you've had fun this week and you think this week is better than last week, put your hands together for Rosie and PK. All right, so after this, we go down to the lounge downstairs for a wonderful reception. So much to eat, so much to drink, so many CEOs to interact with. And let's do this again next week. Next week, let's do this again. And just to announce that our speakers for next week will bring Catherine Krobo-Eduse. She's a farmer and an agri-food, what do I call it? Processor or what?
CEO of Eden Tree.
Yes, CEO of Eden Tree. I think that makes my work easier. So Catherine Krobo-Eduse will be here next week. And then Maximus Ametogo will be talking to us about the digital media space. The good, the bad, and the ugly. But the good thing is that Catherine will show us incredible spaces in agribusiness that we can take advantage of. Auntie Felicia, what should you expect next week? You are a guru in agribusiness, 28 years experience. What should they expect in a conversation about agribusiness?
Phenomenal experiences from her. I know her very well. She's done very, very well. By going to that space and start packaging vegetables, which was not very common in this country. So it's going to be very phenomenal. So everybody should come and listen to her because there are a lot. It's so phenomenal, very versatile industry.
And you are handling another part of the space in the agribusiness with 5,000 women across the country, depending on your leadership. What should the average person who comes next week expect in terms of opportunity?
I think, as I said, there's a big space in agribusiness, and I think last week or 2 weeks ago, no, I think last week, a lot of young boys approached me, and I promised them that they should come and listen to her because she started with the vegetables. And I remember very well the first time she came from London. She came to see me, and I said, it's a very good idea. And I remember her taking the first packaging to Kuala, and the guy told her, what is this? And interestingly, now you see Kuala also packing under their own brand and all that. So it's a very big space, and you should come and listen to her. Expect him to do that.
Thank you very much. Find out about somebody who walked out of banking into agribusiness, and that's next week here at the PCH, the final edition before we go on break. So thank you all for coming, and it's been a wonderful time. Let's do this again next week. Let's bow down our heads as we pray to close. Father, we thank you for what we've been able to do with your help and by your grace. We pray for everyone here to be able to find their space and live their dreams. We pray for wisdom, for guidance, for counsel, for every young person, that they will be able to find what they are good at, do something to be able to earn a living and live out their full potential in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Well, thank you very much for coming. God bless you and good night.
Lock your Wednesday evening for high-level networking, learning, and fellowship. It's about raising leaders and shaping vision to influence society through Christ. Practical Christianity Hangout, exploring biblical answers to questions on economics, finance, leadership, governance, and the contemporary issues of our time. ICGC, the New Wine Temple, East Legon. This and every Wednesday from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. There will be a power networking and cocktail session right after the program. Prepare to be pace setters in your family, ministry, business, finance, profession, governance, and your social life. Practical Christianity Hangouts. Join us this Wednesday evening and bring a friend. ICGC New Wine Temple. We are one big family in Christ.